Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and I'm joined by Ben Foster. How you doing, mate?
Lovely, you?
Not really. I'm going to go in straight away on selfish Manchester United players. I absolutely loved it yesterday when Wayne Rooney basically said what I've been saying for a few weeks now, that some of these players aren't injured. Now, we don't need to name those players, but I think there is an inherent selfishness at Manchester United at the moment that is also evident on the pitch as well. I thought the inability to pass in the final third again yesterday. There's just a selfishness at Manchester United, and I think that runs through it, Ben. But if I said to you, you've got Harry Maguire, Martinez, Lindelof, Varane, Shaw, Mount, Rashford, Bruno, Martial, and there's probably more, 9 players. How many of those do you think are going to be fit for the FA Cup final?
Oh, yeah, there'll be a much better chance for
at
all
least
of them.
half.
At least, yeah.
I'd say probably 75%.
Oh, it's. Do you know what? It's funny, actually. It's not funny, but we did a podcast last week, and I wanted to talk about this on the podcast, on my Foscast, was that injury list, mate. Like, a lot of people see like players getting injured and they go, "Oh, he's so unlucky, isn't he? He's so unlucky." And having been in football for 20-odd years, right, I think some of them are very unlucky. Some injuries, for sure, yeah, they're unavoidable. But the vast majority can be prevented. The vast majority can be prevented by doing extra gym work, warm down, cool down, prehab, rehab, all that kind of stuff. Preventative work in the gym to strengthen areas and around areas so that you don't get an injury or a recurrence of an injury.
Well, look at someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, who goes beyond the club he plays for to look after himself individually.
He invests in himself as his own business and makes sure he has got everything boxed off so it's all looked after, so he very rarely will pick up an injury. And there's players that very rarely pick up injuries because of that exact fact. You're always going to get the bone breaks and the massive tears that are completely unavoidable. But the hamstring tweaks and strains, they can be avoided, you know, genuinely. So when I see somebody constantly getting injured all the time, sometimes I say, you might have to change something within what you do day-to-day basis, yeah? So you don't do it. You might be driving a sports car, for example. I remember Ryan Giggs back in the day.
I want to see me in my little Fiat Punto.
There you go, mate. It kills your back, you're all cramped up. So Ryan Giggs was banned from driving manual cars and sports cars, basically, because it was too low, too cramped, and the constant changing of gears. So got an automatic, a bigger, comfier.
Got a Vauxhall Astra.
Yeah, there you go. Very rarely injured. But there's so much you can do to prevent getting injuries. But I just think the main problem with this Man United team at the minute is I agree with Wayne Rooney. There's too many players that are very happy to be injured.
Well, I said it a few weeks ago, and people were like, name the players then, Mark. And I was like, well, I don't know the players. I don't know what players from that 9. I don't know what players from that 9. I personally don't think someone like Martinez, Maguire, Bruno are the sort that don't play.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm not. What I'm saying is, out of that 9, I guarantee 75% are fit for an FA Cup final in the Euros.
Yeah.
But they're not fit to play against Arsenal yesterday.
Do you know? Can I quickly jump in on this? Right. So Scott McTominay, yeah, prime example. Everybody gives this guy abuse.
Yeah, and
because
plays,
he's not good enough.
Johnny Evans.
He's not. Yeah, he's not good enough.
He'll
get dogs abuse. But do you know what? Right. That guy is always there on a Saturday afternoon, standing up to be counted. Yeah,
he's like the shit kid. It's when you used to play. When you used to play Sunday morning football, and you go, why does he turn up every week? He pays his subs. He never gets any game time. But respect.
But he's there.
Yeah.
He's there all the time, and he will even when he
still need to sell him in the summer.
But then who are you going to play in his position here?
Well, you've got to buy
so do you know
players.
What I mean? In that, yeah, all right then, fine. You're going to have to play better players that will possibly be injured. Yeah?
Oh, no,
or not for an injury.
I respect it. I agree with you. I think I said it yesterday. Everyone was saying how crap he was. And I went, and it was Casper the Ghost. But I said, well, he's not Casper the Ghost because he's there. He wasn't fit on Thursday and he's playing against Arsenal. Johnny Evans,
there you
35,
go. There you go.
Could easily go, I'm retiring at the end of the season. I don't fancy this. He played half fit at Palace. He gave his 70 minutes against Arsenal. And that's the scary thing. Players that aren't good enough are willing to put the shirt on because they get it.
Yeah,
and
they get it, yeah.
If I was a professional footballer, I mean, I used to play with shin splints and everything at the end of the season because it was the time where you were winning trophies. So I was like, and they just don't have that mentality. And I think that's why I said a few weeks ago, and I've not played it at the level you have, but I've played it all through my life. There's people who don't fancy it, and there's people who are playing, unless you've broke your leg or you've done your knee, you've done your ankle. Unless you can't run, you'll go and find Gaffer. I'm absolutely fine. And your calf will hurt and your hamstring will hurt.
Again,
your ankle
honestly,
will hurt.
I've had so many injuries where on a Thursday I'm thinking, I am struggling for the game on Saturday. The physio would come up to me, the manager would come up to me and they'd go, what do you think for Saturday? And I'd go, We'll see. I should be all right. But in my head, I'm thinking, I've got no chance. I've got no chance, right? But what I also know, though, is that when that game kicks off at 3 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon, right, the adrenaline boost that you get, honestly, mate, the adrenaline boost, like, it just masks all these pains, right? And I found I could get through so many games. So I always say to the manager, I always used to say, just wait till Saturday.
Well, they have injections.
Just wait till Saturday.
Don't they?
You have injections. You don't want to constantly get injections, but there's tablets you can take that can sort of numb the pain a little bit. You've got to be a little bit careful. The magic sponge, yeah. But wait till the Saturday afternoon. I'd always say, just wait till Saturday afternoon. Once I get that adrenaline boost, it should be okay. But we'll wait and see. But again, I've seen players who on a Tuesday are ruling themselves out for Saturday. I've seen players, mate, on Tuesday going, I'm no good for the game on Saturday, all right? And they keep saying it to the physio as if to say, like, just pull me out. I don't want to be involved. I'm not going to be good for the Saturday, all right? And the physio is looking at them going, we're 4 days away from the game. Yeah. Relax. Let's see nearer the time. And they're like, no, I need pulling out now. And it's an insecurity thing. It's a fragile thing. It's a
scary thing, isn't it?
It is. It's
a scary thing, and it's a scary thing for the new ownership because they, Ineos are meant to be about elite mentality and physicality. And look, if you're watching from the stands, you can judge the team, and we'll talk about how they played yesterday in a minute. But you're also going to look at it and go, why are so many of these players not fit? Yeah. And it's already very easy to go, well, it's on the coaching, it's on the medical, it's on the physio staff. Yeah. But ultimately, I think it is and it isn't, because I remember speaking to Paul Ince about this a few years ago, and he said, you do realise, apart from, if you're lucky, if you've not had a major tournament, the first month of the season, you probably feel as good as you do. Yeah. For the rest of the 8 months, you're never fit. You're never, ever fit. Most footballers are never fit. They've always got something that's hurting and they're just playing.
Well, honestly, I remember being at West Brom, and this was about 10 years ago, right? And we got to the end of the season, and they won an award, or they were the best ranked team. We were the best ranked team, yeah, for no injuries, like basically avoiding injuries. We had the minimal amount of all the clubs in the Premier League, right? And a lot of physios and other clubs were kind of getting in touch with people and saying, sort of like, how'd you do it? What is it that you did? I remember talking to one of our physios, and he was like, we did nothing different. We do exactly the same thing, probably the same as what most Premier League teams do. But it's just that we've got a group of really honest, professional lads, yeah? British core of team, spine of the team, just good lads that wanted to muck in and wanted to be on the pitch on a Saturday afternoon. They did nothing different. There's no special...
It's a dying breed, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no special... Yeah, exactly. Johnny Evans was probably part of that team. But we did nothing special to kind of prevent the injuries. It's just that we've got good, honest, professional lads that get in the gym in the morning, train, get in the gym afterwards, cool down properly, and want to be there on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, we've created monsters. And I think this leads into what the second thing that is more relevant to the game yesterday. I'm watching that game yesterday and I'm thinking about it last night, and I'm looking at the dressing room, and I think that, the injuries is sort of like, this is going to be the second half. The injuries is clearly the first half of the selfishness, insular, cowardice behaviour that Man United have had for years. And I think the dressing room has been like this for a decade. Go back years and years, we've had this problem. And it's an infected dressing room, and not every player can be rescued from that, but I think some of them can be. And when I looked at the game yesterday, and obviously Garnacho got a lot of stick, but I have been a big defender of Rasmus in relation to, I knew what he was at Atalanta, and what he wants an early ball into the channel because he's more of a dribbling striker. And there was 5 times yesterday where he's angled his run to get away from Saliba and Gabriel, who were very good, to run the channel. Delot ignored it. Yeah. McTominay ignored it twice, Johnny Evans ignored it, and Garnacho ignored it. And I'm like, what? And what they chose to do instead was carry on dribbling, and then they lost the ball. And I'm like, this is just, like, if I could send a message to the United players, it would be, in the final third, pass the fucking ball. It's so selfish. And look, it's not even to do with Ten Hag. I've seen Rashford do it for years. I've seen Bruno do it for years. We've seen all sorts of players do it for years. And it's just so frustrating. And again, it's just this, like, it's almost like some players, I don't know, could they want the glory themselves, they're playing for their futures. It's weird how many times we don't pass. Because I actually think we shouldn't have lost to Arsenal yesterday. The goal was on Casemiro, and the amount of attacking opportunities we had were just selfish.
Yeah, you got into some good positions, but then you could always tell. You could always tell that you've never really had that cutting edge. That it just wasn't there. I think when it comes to that, like you say there about the opportunities that McTominay and Johnny Evans and a few others had to maybe put Højlund into space, or that's kind of the stuff that you work on in training. Yeah, that should.
But players, as well as I do, you've played with players. You take. Look, we don't want to talk about Rashford. He didn't play. Marcus Rashford, year after year after year, you go, play the pass.
he
And
won't,
he doesn't. He won't do it.
And
What people don't understand is a coach can't make a player
he can
change.
Though.
Well, they don't.
No, he
do
can.
they?
He can. Right? If
Well, why isn't Rashford changed under 4 coaches?
because you haven't had somebody who has made a point of going, stop doing that, yeah? Stop doing that or you won't play for me.
Yeah, well, you can't. That's the problem,
No,
isn't
you
it?
can do that, though. You can. You say it to him, and if you don't do it, yeah, and they say, why doesn't Marcus Rashford play at the weekend? You say, because he's not doing what I want from him.
But you lose your job then.
And Postecoglou would say that, but somebody with real integrity, yeah, would really say that. Somebody that wants to do it properly. Jurgen Klopp would say that. Pep Guardiola would say that, wouldn't they? They would say, no, he's not playing because when he gets the ball into that position there, he's head down and he's selfish and he just wants to dribble. I don't want that from my players. I want them to have their head up and I want them to be trying to put somebody else in so they can make a run. Everybody knows where you are then, yeah? But when you've got your head down, we don't know whether you're going to go right, left, straight forward, we're going to lose the ball, we're going to get counter-attacked on. That's scary, yeah? So as a manager, you need to be strong enough to go, do that again and you're not going to play. And then, like I say, on Saturday afternoon when somebody says, why hasn't he played? That's the reason why. And you just back it up like that.
Well, I do agree with that, but the problem is we've seen Mourinho get the sack, Ollie get the sack.
Yeah, that's cool.
Rangnick's been gone.
That's cool.
And Ten Hag's probably going to get the sack.
But you've got to do it,
because of player power.
You've got to do it, and if I think eventually you have to say it to the point where...
It needs to come from above, though.
Yeah, exactly.
The people above have got to go, like you have
they
at
need
Liverpool,
to back it as well.
at Man City, they've got to go, you're the boss.
Yeah, boom.
And if you don't like it, and of course, Man United give stupid contracts out for a long time, and I guarantee a manager gets a call going, Ben, why have you dropped Rashford? Why have you dropped Bruno? Because they're not passing. Well, you better fucking pick them because they're not happy. We're not happy.
Well, then that manager...
The dressing room's not happy.
But this, again, though, a manager with integrity would come out and say, no, do you know what? I got a call from the chief exec above me who said I need to play him because of this, yeah? Pep Guardiola would say that. Jurgen Klopp would say that, yeah? Proper managers, strong managers. Ferguson. Can you imagine anybody ever ringing Alex Ferguson and saying, you need to play him because he's got a 4-year contract? He'd go, don't ever talk to me again. You're out the club. Like, that's how it should be. Football's changed so much now.
But we're not going to change. I mean, I agree. This is exactly the point that I wanted to come out. Really, is that we've seen this at United for so long. We saw Mourinho get turned on by senior players and get him out the club. One of the best managers in the last 30 years. Ineos have got to change this. They've got to look at it and go, we've got players that don't want to play. You know, they're on the injury table. We've got players on the pitch who don't want to pass. And we've got a system where those players are so powerful that they don't actually get dropped either.
Yeah.
And also, let's not forget, there will be players that if that manager drops them, they'll be so influential in the dressing room that you're going to lose other players as well, aren't you? We've seen that before.
Yeah.
So this is, for me, the big thing. I watched Man United yesterday. I thought we actually, structurally, were a lot better than we have been for a while. Yeah. But the problem still comes back to the players. It's a massive, massive job. I still think you've got to let 12 players go and probably 8 players come in. And that's not going to happen in one summer.
Yesterday was, obviously, before the game, you had Robbie Savage saying this might be the worst Manchester United team he's ever seen. And then afterwards, you've got Roy Keane basically saying, how easy was that? You know, those Arsenal players, yeah, it's only 1-0, but it was still very comfortable for Arsenal. When you've got a really good, solid back four like Arsenal have got...
Yeah. They ain't going to concede.
They're in control. They're in control. They really were. And they could have gone up the gears if they really wanted to. They don't need to, though. They're trying to conserve a little bit of energy, probably. They did what they needed to do and they got the result. And I guarantee you, Roy Keane is bang on. Those Arsenal players would have sat there and gone, it's quite easy, that, wasn't it? That's Old Trafford.
But it was always, yeah, to be fairness, though, I mean, look, it was always going to be easy. You look at that bench of Arsenal, and I think we would have started 7 of their bench. You look at United's bench, it's full of kids. You look at the starting lineup, I mean, the goal is a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe he was on the side. And then when I saw Casemiro, I was just like, literally, if I was centre-back, with my bad back, he still would have been offside. Because I know it's the oldest thing you learn. Yeah. Get out.
As soon as you do, get up. But that's a bad bit. And then it was compounded again by Casemiro, by, you know, when he's about to cut the ball back and Trossard makes that run in, Casemiro has to just fill that space. He has to fill that space inside the 6-yard box because you'd rather get it cut back and somebody try and score from 12 yards out than somebody getting something from 6 yards out. You have to fill the space first. It's the lesser of two evils. Let him cut it back to the penalty spot, and if he scores, cool, but do not let him get 3 yards out from goal and tap it in. You can't let him get in that space.
As a player that's played, obviously, many seasons, and you've seen players with you from one year to another, what is going on with Casemiro, who for me was our player of the year last year and one of the best holding midfielders in the game. Last year, you were comparing him to Rodri. This year, you wouldn't compare him to Rodney.
Yeah.
He's absolutely terrible. Like, what is that just a player that thinks, I'm off in the summer. Because he looks, the penalty against Coventry when he took the first one, Ten Hag has obviously said, you're one of the leaders, take this penalty, walks up, just kicks it down the middle. Against Crystal Palace last week, he's meant to be centre-back. He's running into the midfield, flying into a tackle he can't make. He's trying to usher the ball out. It gets cut back. Cost us 2 goals against Palace. Cost us yesterday. He looks shit.
He's not a centre-back, is he? I feel,
but he's got to play that position.
Yeah, I know. I do feel a little bit for him because he's definitely not a centre-back. You can tell he's not a centre-back.
He can play that role.
He can play the role, but you need somebody alongside him that's really nimble and really quick and really agile, right? And unfortunately, none of them are available and none of them are fit at the minute, right? If he had one of them, it would be a little bit easier. But I feel like
he's bad in the midfield as well.
He's being asked to do stuff that is not up his street. He really...
It doesn't look like he wants to do it.
No, it's true. And I think now he's got to the point where it's getting in his head massively. Like, it's properly getting in his head. And I feel for him because his head must be boggled. He's playing in a position he don't want to play. Everybody else is dropping like flies, not wanting to be involved.
Must be really upset.
But I bet you he is, though, mate. I would still rather not be him at this moment in time because I guarantee you he's waking up just going, I'm getting abuse online, I'm getting abuse in the papers, everybody's giving me dog's abuse. I'm trying my best, but his head is frazzled. I say this about every player. Like, you could have a 10 out of 10 player ability-wise, but if their confidence is a 1 out of 10, don't even put them on the pitch. There's no point. They do not belong on that pitch, right? So take him out of the firing line. But who are you going to put in place of him?
And I think that's a great point because there's a lot of... I was listening to the radio on the way in and they were playing some of the clips from last night. And look, intelligence is a thing. There's low intelligence, there's high intelligence. Obviously I operate up here. Some people operate down here and then pick up the phone to talk sport. And last night they were, which is fine. Talk sport do quite well out of it. But I mean, I was listening to some of it. Sack Ten Hag now. This is the worst performance I've seen. And I'm like, yeah,
it's not the worst I've seen. You got pumped by Crystal Palace last week, 4-0.
Contextually, we had 50. I mean, how did we have 55% possession against Arsenal? Arsenal needed to win that game. I thought United played well, considering how many players they've got out and the fact that Arsenal desperately needed to win.
United will always do well at home, at Old Trafford, in the bigger games.
Yeah, I think we suit the bigger games.
They will always do
it. Villa.
Do you know why you suit the bigger games?
Because you can't not get up.
Because they know that it's on telly and there's going to be, like I say, 500 million people watching. They know that.
I've seen this over
So it's all effort. It's all about effort and intensity, and they'll happily put
Palace
that in.
away on Monday night.
Monday night, when you haven't got all the weight watching, it's easier to kind of like, well, I probably won't just put it in quite as much.
Well, and that's been, that's not a Ten Hag issue. That's not even this player issue. This is what I'm talking about. That dressing room is infected and people want to go in on individual players, whether it's Rashford, Casemiro, whatever. But if a dressing room is consistently toxic, it's not about individual players because a lot of those players will have left and future players are going to come into it. Have you experienced that yourself? A dressing room, well, probably at Man United, it was a winning dressing room and players came and went, but the dressing room
the core
mentality stayed the same, didn't
it?
Yeah. An aura.
But
an aura of toxicity.
That can work in the opposite way as well. If you've got a culture of toxicity, and that is what it is, then losing 3 or 4 or 5 around the edges, but bringing 4 or 5 in, it's still going to remain the same.
Infected.
Yeah, if you've got the core is a good core and it's all positive and upbeat and we work hard, you can lose 3 or 4 either side. As long as you bring decent ones in, they have to fall in line. And unfortunately, it's just a bad place to be into at the minute. I mean,
I'll just throw this out there to everyone in the chat as well. I mean, I look at that dressing room and I've seen United dressing rooms and I look at Man City's and Chelsea's and you can tell who the core players are. Chelsea of years ago, Lampard, Terry, Drogba, you could tell they got on. They might not be best mates, but you could tell they got on. I look at United now and I don't even know what the core of that dressing room is. I don't imagine Casemiro, Rashford and Bruno sat down together, actually agreeing.
No.
It feels very separate. And I think that's something that Ineos have got to do. They've got to...
I'll tell you what, I went and did the Amazon documentary the other night for the 99 treble winners.
Oh, yeah.
And talk about kind of like a culture within a football club. That is, honestly, mate, it was ridiculous. So I did an interview with Andy Cole and Dwight York, and I didn't know this, but Andy Cole and Teddy Sheringham just didn't get on.
Oh, yeah.
Just didn't get on whatsoever. But it was fine in that dressing room. There were others. Peter Schmeichel, Roy Keane didn't get on. And there were others as well.
Well, that's normal. Probably normal.
Probably normal, right?
There's
but
so many players.
they were still the same mentality of player, yeah? The same mentality of we go and win, and we do it and win. And when we lose, it hurts us, and everybody gets after everybody. You look at this current squad, and you can tell that it's nowhere near that.
No. Yeah, 100%. I think that's one of the big things that has got to change because we haven't got any of those winners anymore, and we're gonna have to build it ourselves. And look, you know, it feels to me like what Neville said yesterday, what Roy Keane said yesterday. You know, I'd give the manager another year. I would give the manager another year as well, because I think whoever comes in now, it's not a quick fix. You're not quick fixing that. You're not quick fixing that. You're not. It's like, I think even next year, I would say now, if they get fourth, it'd be a good year. It's,
do you know what would be, if you were playing Football Manager now with this Man United squad, right, and you just got to the end of the season, you would honestly be putting at least sort of 60 or 70% of that squad on the transfer list, wouldn't you?
You know, I was asked this yesterday, and if I could sell 5 players, and I want to sell 12, but one of the first names, I would let Maguire go because he's got value. These are not the worst players. I'm just trying to raise money.
Yeah, to get money on you.
If you say, well, sell Van der Beek or Johnny Evans or Varane, you're not getting any money for them. So for me, I'm thinking I've got to raise money because I need to bring as many players in as I can. I'd get Maguire gone, McTominay would go, Lindelof would go, and that's probably brought me in 60, 70 million straight away. Rashford. I'd sell Rashford for 80 million pounds. I've got 150 million quid there.
Honestly, mate, who's going to pay 80 million quid for Rashford?
But all those players there, it's not that I don't like them. It's just they've all got a value, and I don't think they fit in to where United need to go.
The problem is that when clubs know that you want to sell players, when clubs know that they're on the transfer list, that's where the clubs will go, well, you know what, we'll offer you half of what you want or a quarter of what you want, because then it becomes a game, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. It
becomes a game. And that's the challenge.
And that is going to be the challenge, yeah.
Give us your thoughts in below. What would you do? It's going to be a long job. Ben, thank you very much for coming on.
Pleasure. Cheers, mate.
Take care, everyone. Get your comments in below. Smash a like on video.
Smile, everybody. It's the summer. Summer's here.